Hey, English 2, good morning. I hope you spent yesterday looking over your notes and choosing some evidence that you thought would really be very strong in an essay that would address the prompt. So today I want to talk to you about thesis. Now I know that it probably makes sense for thesis, my lesson on thesis, to go first and then evidence to go second, but you have to remember that the evidence is the bulk of the essay. And so oftentimes when I'm writing, my thesis comes last. Only because, I have a thesis in my head and sometimes I draft one out, but I want to make sure that my thesis truly addresses what I've talked about in my essay. So that's why I'm doing it second. All right, so I've selected my evidence. You have 3 pieces of evidence, and you recall that this is not one that you're using, right? Because this is my evidence, not yours, and we're not working together. Here's a few rhetorical strategies that we discussed yesterday, but you're not limited to these, okay? So go outside the box. My recommendation to you is to look back at the guided annotations from Act 1 and Act 2. Remember, we looked at soliloquies of Macbeth, and I talked to you about irony and symbolism, etc., etc. I would really go back to those 2 exercises as a place to start. So today, I want to just go back, look at the summative assessment requirements really quickly, because that's really important, right? If you know how you're being evaluated and what the requirements are, you can successfully write a thesis statement that addresses those requirements. So bullet number 1 says, include a thesis statement that introduces the role of Lady Macbeth as a rhetor, so as a speaker, as a persuasive speaker, and the rhetorical strategy she employs most effectively. Now the rubric, in order to be exemplary for the thesis, I need to introduce Lady Macbeth as a rhetor, so I need to say that she's a persuasive speaker, and I need to include at least 3 rhetorical strategies she employs most effectively. The thesis should include an introduction that is more than just citations of 3 critiqued passages, and it should be defensible, meaning somebody should be able to disagree with me. So I need to make sure I include this, more than just citations, but of 3 critiqued passages. All right. Remember, whatever I'm about to write here, you're not allowed to use. Remember, it's one succinct sentence. So, in Macbeth, and I'm italicizing that because it is the title of a play. When I talk about Macbeth himself, I don't have to italicize that. Comma, because it's an introductory phrase. Lady Macbeth plays the crucial role of the driving force behind all of Macbeth's deadly decisions, right? Because he kills a lot of people, or ultimately it leads to a lot of people's death, and his own death. Semicolon, because it's still one sentence, but I'm ending an independent clause here. In her conversation with him regarding the death of Duncan, her, whatever your second example is, and her example number 3, I'm not going to put my own because then you could take them, right? She uses, my first example was metaphors, I'll say symbolism, and irony to convince Macbeth to act cruelly to achieve not only his desires, but hers. All right, so in Macbeth, Lady Macbeth plays a crucial role of the driving force behind all of Macbeth's deadly decisions. In her conversation with him regarding the death of Duncan, her example number 2, and her example number 3, she uses metaphors, symbolism, and irony to convince Macbeth to act cruelly to achieve not only his desires, but hers. All right, so did I get the thesis statement points here? I need to introduce her as a rhetor. Where did I do that? Oh, she's the crucial role of the driving force. So I've introduced her as a rhetor. Basically, I've introduced her as a persuasive speaker. Okay. I need to make sure, what's the second thing? 3 rhetorical strategies are mentioned. Have I done that? Let me come back and do that in a part 2 because I'm about to miss time here.